Millions and drop. Force across the state.
So describe to maybe I don't
Like, so essentially like being able to pay for housing for relocation costs, to be able to pay stipends, differential. To be able to pay for college and tuition reimbursement. No, 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 we know what our work was.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I was like, stop.
yeah, and I wish, eventually I just came in because I'm going, okay, I don't.
Yeah, it's to really, so it really. We don't have any funding to help support it ongoing. Right now, it's a big scholarship program. We're about to roll out a scholarship program. This is all approved. The master's level funding. Higher to stay. And so. Yeah. So right now, we're funding. Yeah, when I was in state.
Well, you notice I started them.
You did, I noticed.
I
And I'm like, looking at her. It's just a letter of support. It's not like the BHAB's gonna be able to like sway the legislature necessarily, but every letter helps.
I think it's nice because, I get so many questions.
Oh, really?
Better shots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Booted out the door into a.
It's the ones with their families.
Oh, sure. That's sure. It's nice having you there though, to have that perspective. Otherwise, you can all get about what law enforcement's doing or not doing. Why? It's just nice to have perspective.
When I think that was happening, that's what it was.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, so anyway, that's what that money's for. Statewide bucket money to pay for things.
I ended up voting this.
Don't want to see how real force. Oh, I would never ask for $20 million for a survey. I would probably do that.
Well, Tony was,
We all know Tracy's gonna remember living in the dumpster.
he was talking about, that's why I kind of.
He knew my dream.
That's where I got that. So this is the first meeting you guys are coming.
Updated. I guess we did. We met with when we were there. So kind of helpful.
So, yeah, so do we monitor the online?
POs are on. The mics are on, they can hear us. So. It's also all being recorded.
No, I honestly, I mean, honestly, you're supposed to say anything like. I don't think that it's.
He's a member of our community again this afternoon.
So I got it.
If we can help him be on a little better road, that's great. That's his best shot of not coming back.
Well, that's what I was like, I just brought it up actually because, and then you said no.
Hope I didn't say that.
But I looked at that. I've got something.
That's the thing around law enforcement. They always pick up on that darn body language. Not do them.
Well, the house Cheryl.
You know what I mean?
You know, yeah. Yeah, if they really want to do crimes, we want them in jail. If they want to change, we want them not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, he was my roommate, so wow, kicked him out. And they moved him over with Eric over so it's by myself again. And I can. Like the cat team is down in the days are still. Cause we're so.
More than anybody.
Just a little bit of time they was there.
Yeah.
And because the channel's all.
Yeah.
And we're generating. He knows. So if we have a little. Some jail.
Yeah. Right there on the
Yeah.
spot. And you could go.
So in Charlie Clark, it was a beautiful thing.
That's not sure what I was telling you.
Ability to do that was good. It'll ramp up. He's on Thursdays.
Oh, yeah, that's good too.
Yeah.
Somebody
works
through.
That's set for.
Right.
So I think so like you.
I'll ramp up, getting closer to that, probably over the summer.
Close. You can go usually within 24 hours of math.
Well, good. Cause they gotta get us right to 16.
Yeah.
Think about that, go back to them.
So we will be.
It's usually Judge Ashby, but I'm gonna see if Eric maybe will do chair for right now. And speak. So
Eric might be able to hear you. Is Eric Crop there? Eric, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Eric, would you mind sharing the meeting where we're just waiting for Judge Ashby or Nick to join? Or is there a way you can share for us to get- so we can have it started?
Sure. Nick, I believe, is on his way, but I'm happy to get us started until one of them comes.
Awesome, thank you so much.
See you guys later.
All right. Why don't we start with introductions? And typically we don't do the typical or the people that come all the time. But I do come a lot, but I'm Eric Crop, Deputy County Administrator. I'll just fill in until Nick or Judge Ashby arrive. Are there people that are new to the group that would like to introduce themselves? Go ahead, Councilor Riley.
Yeah, Mike Riley, Bend City Councilor. This is my first meeting. I missed the one earlier this year with a conflict. So happy to be with you today.
Great, thanks for joining us. Others on the screen?
Hi, I'm Taryn Evans Ramos. I am the Program Services Director at Saving Grace. I briefly attended last meeting, but I'm here.
Great, thanks for joining.
Are we all introducing Eric or just the new people?
Just the new people, or Keith.
I feel different today. So I'm Keith Witkowski, Redmond City Manager.
All right. Actually, we'll just continue on with all introductions. Donna?
Good afternoon, everybody. Donna Mills, Citizen Representative.
Thank you, Donna. Nicole?
Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole Borchert. I'm the Director of Mary's Place at Saving Grace.
Great, thank you. Dominic?
Hi, I'm Dominic Passarelli, the Supervisor for the Victim Assistance Program at the DA's office.
Great, thank you. All right, this next one, they typically don't like to introduce themselves, but Richard Coe?
Yes, I'm the editorial page editor at the Bulletin. Hello.
Thanks for joining us. The Deschutes County is Angie. Angie, you could do a quick introduction.
Hi there, Angie Powers in the County Commissioner's County Admin Office.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the room. So I'll have to have somebody in the room. Maybe Trevor can manage that part of the introductions.
Yeah. I'm Deputy Neil Marchington. I'm the Deflection Program Coordinator for Deschutes County Sheriff's Office.
I'm Teresa. I'm a navigator for Ideal Options. I'm Brady Alford, and I am a navigator for Ideal Options.
Tanner Ward, Deschutes County Parole Probation, sitting in for DV Community Justice Director. My name is Trevor Stevens. I'm the Business Manager for Community Justice.
Nick Lelak, I'm finally here, County Administrator and Vice Chair, so I'm dereliction of my duties for not being here. I apologize.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Mabonga. I work with Oregon Youth Authority.
Sarah Crosswhite, Deschutes County 911 Director.
Ed Vanderkamp, Deschutes County Sheriff.
Devin Lewis, Chief of Police in Redmond. Aaron Wells, Deschutes County Under Sheriff.
Steve Gunnels, District Attorney.
Bill Chang, Deschutes County Commissioner.
Holly Harris, Behavioral Health Director, sitting in for Janice Garcia.
And I think that's everyone, unless Captain Schultz, you want to introduce yourself?
Right, and I'll turn it over to our Vice Chair in the room.
Great, okay, thank you. I don't know if we've heard if our chair is making it in person or online today.
We have not heard.
We have not heard. Okay, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. So Eric, thank you for going around with the introductions. It's great to see everybody in person today. And as I just mentioned to Commissioner Chang as we were walking in, maybe one more meeting would have been great when we had only Avenue open, because that certainly delays a lot of us moving around the north end of the city. So with that, we'll move to agenda item 3. We have the approval of minutes for February 25 and March of 26. 25 in our packet. If somebody's had an opportunity to review those, and if anybody's comfortable making a motion to approve both sets, that would be great. I'll make a motion.
I'm happy to motion approval of both sets of minutes.
Okay, thank you. Chief Lewis made the motion in the room, and are you okay, Donna, seconding that motion?
Absolutely.
Perfect, great. So with that, moved and seconded, any discussion, comments on the minutes? Not seeing any. I guess since we're in person, we'll just say if approve would be an eye or a hand up or something, and I see hands raised and online, not hearing any objections. Thank you. Thank you, Dominic. Great, thumbs up, perfect. So any opposed? Not seeing any. So, go ahead, Mike.
Nick, this is Mike Riley. I'm gonna abstain. I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Okay, thank you. And, Councilor Riley, thank you very much. So the meeting will reflect unanimous approval with 1 abstention. So we appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 4, a public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to make comments from the public? I'm not seeing any in the room, any online, and Angie is shaking her head no, so we're not seeing any online either. Thank you, Angie. So with that, let's move to agenda item number 5, the Deschutes County Deflection Program. Deputy, it's great to have you here, and we'll be happy to turn it over to you and your team. I don't know. Great.
Absolutely. It's fine, just hang out. Angie, do you have the show up? I made a brief show for you. Again, Deputy Neil Marchington, the Deflection Program Coordinator here with the Sheriff's Office. You know, deflection, in our view, it's a way to really help folks get clean, to help them escape addiction. Next slide, please, Angie. Can everybody online hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who the staff are, of course, Captain Schultz is the Corrections Division Commander. He's my boss. Deputy Maldonado and I help run the deflection program together. Josh Lair is the supervisor for Ideal Option. Barrett Hamilton's the supervisor for the Best Care and Taylor Center, where we operate out of. And then we have 4 navigators in the field. 2 of them are seated here, Teresa and Brandy are here. We also have Olin Grimes and John Curran from Best Care that fill out this whole team to help folks. Next slide, please. So the program's voluntary for the person. They'll get immediate access to treatment, screening services, wraparound services, including things like peer navigators who can help them with housing, ID, birth certificates, OHP sign-ups, SNAP, resume, job search, and many other services through different community partners. If they engage in the treatment, the DA will dismiss or not file the eligible charges. After 90 days, the possession charge and certain other misdemeanors can be sealed. The referring person can get updates on their progress about day 3, day 30, and completion or failure. So we let the police officers know the folks they bring in have succeeded. We let the DAs and the defense attorneys, if they're involved, know as well how their person did. And we also look at that as a way to outreach. So, you know, we can let officers know, hey, this person got started. They seem to have disappeared. If you see them again, and it's appropriate, bring them back in. We're happy to keep working with them. Next slide, please. The Best Care's Taylor Center is down behind the urgent care, down off 3rd Marshall. That's the front of the building. It's a community center that folks can walk into 7 days a week, and that's where the navigator teams all are. That's where officers bring folks in to get them help. Next slide, please. So as of the 27th, we've had 11 successful deflections in the county. We've had 10 that have been unsuccessful. We have 14 active clients that are making progress at this time. They've been provided with a range of services such as outpatient, intensive outpatient, inpatient, and detox, as well as a variety of mental health services. So multiple clients are no longer houseless. Multiple clients have their kids back, and multiple clients have gained employment. So some of those things that we think are super important for folks. Next slide, please. In my 17 years as a deputy, I've never seen jail alone fix addiction. I see treatment work again and again. I know we only have 5 minutes, so I'm going fast. Any questions so far? Next one, please, Angie. So for eligibility, they've got to be able to willingly engage in treatment. Parole or probation clients have to have their approval from their PO. And an officer or ADA's discretion when drug use is believed to be a factor for the person and deflection-connected treatment could be beneficial. So we're looking at mostly PCSU, certain other A misdemeanor charges may be included with DA approval. That could be a variety of mostly low-level type livability and property crimes. So we're not talking serious stuff. Next slide here, we're talking that low-level offenders who we're targeting. So we've also started just in the baby stages of a new officer or social referral pathway in. So we've so far had one of these officially done where an officer from Redmond PD contacted somebody at 2 a.m. They'd already done all their drugs. They had burnt foil all over the car. They clearly needed some help, but there was not probable cause for an arrest. The officer gave them an after-hours card, said, hey, if you want help, call these folks up. And unfortunately, so far, they haven't called. So we're just experimenting with this right now. You know, we haven't rolled the trainings out fully to get all the police involved with it and other possible community partners. So this is really in the early development stages. So ineligibility, no sex offenders, no folks with pending sex charges, folks with person crimes or DV crimes, either pending or in the last 5 years aren't eligible. Folks who are too intoxicated or mentally ill to be able to understand and engage in treatment. So, you know, this is something that we leave kind of to the officers in the field as well as, you know, sometimes the professionals in the treatment place. You know, folks who are not sure what planet they're on are just not quite to the point. They probably need some real mental health services, and we're happy to refer them over to those, but it's hard to deflect somebody who is really severely, really in mental health crisis. Folks who are combative and folks with significant restitution expected are all folks that we're just not working with. And if they don't live in or near enough to Deschutes County to engage in treatment right now, we are not working with them. We are exploring some reciprocity potential with other counties, working with other deflection programs and DA's offices around the state. So that's really just in discussion stage, but I think we're open to that concept if some appropriate arrangements are made. Next slide, please. So some recent examples that we've had, all of these are over about the last month. So a client was arrested by Redmond police for PCSU. They were cited out on this. Deputy Maldonado and I were already working on an inpatient placement for them relating to a different misdemeanor case. The client and co-defendant also had pending Clackamas County case. So I contacted the ADA in Clackamas, who offered a dismissal for the inpatient graduation. That did happen. We got them into an Oxford. They got their kids back. A co-defendant on the Clackamas case also had her case dismissed. Client B struggling with fentanyl addiction and low-level property crimes, cited or arrested 4 times for PCSU and a 5th case for a theft 3 between November and January. Also had a Washington County warrant for a low-level theft. We got the client into inpatient in January. 4 local PCS cases were deflected. The theft 3 was dismissed at the prosecutor's discretion. And I got in touch with the judge in Washington County and the DA there. We got them a conditional discharge and bench probation case, and the family flew down to get him back to Alaska to his family. Great story there. Another one, this was one of the new explorations into the A misdemeanor level. We had a client, 3.7 grams of meth, which is just above the threshold for an for an unclassified misdemeanor at 2 grams. So the DA's office and the Bend Police both supported this client going into deflection. He's 55 years old, no criminal history. He's fully engaged in treatment. Extremely thankful for this opportunity. Next one, please. So I mentioned a little, we're discussing reciprocity. Klamath and Marion are potentially open to this. There may be some other counties that are as well. You know, particularly, we live in an area where we're very close to multiple other counties. We have folks who live in Gilcrest who are a lot closer to treatment here than in Klamath. We often use Best Care's inpatient in Klamath Falls, where, you know, having their deflection program kind of coordinate with us. It'd still stay with the county of the arrest or citation is the primary location, but we can have some strategic partnerships for them to probably meet their requirements while they live somebody else or while they live here and deal with a case in another county. Next one, please. So some of the challenges and the lessons we've learned, 75% of folks who get arrested or cited with a PCSU have another charge. These are very seldom standalone here. Most police have never worked prior to 110, so we're still learning, I think, how to navigate some of the PP stuff for possession. And search case law has severely limited officers' ability to search people for drugs in the field. Some overall things, we've had 43 total referrals since September. Only 3 people have had no criminal history out of that. Almost everybody has had criminal history. The folks who do not have that, it's extremely motivational to them to potentially not have a conviction. Then with the other folks, it really varies. Some folks are super engaged on day one that are longtime folks in the justice system. Other folks are just absolutely not interested. They prefer fentanyl and meth. So, you know, narrow criteria at the start resulted in very few eligible candidates. So we're in the early stages of expanding that and looking at how to best do that. Looking at the analysis here as well as statewide, theft 2 is an A misdemeanor, which is not eligible and is the #1 misdemeanor that's probably related to drug use that we encounter here. Deflections provided early treatment access to people with PCS and DUI charges. While we're not deflecting on DUIs, this has been a really good way to get clients really engaged in very good treatment. We've got a client in inpatient right now who had a DUI. He's super motivated to really get clean and get his life back. So it's been kind of one of those unexpected aspects of the program is just this early access to treatment for a lot more people. Next one, please. And I think I'm past 5 minutes. So any questions for either me or for the navigators? Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, I do see a question from Councilor Riley online.
Yeah, I was curious, Neil, the stats you gave, are those just since the beginning of the year relative to the start date back in September, or because they're just different from the total numbers that were in the attachment we got?
Those stats go back to September 1st of last year when the program started.
The ones you presented today?
Yes.
Okay.
I have one more question. Just run through like pathways into deflection. So, you know, somebody's contacted, typically by law enforcement, and then sometimes you'll take them to Best Care. Sometimes someone will come out.
Absolutely, yeah. So the question is about the different referral pathways. Our preferred one is when an officer in the field contacts somebody for a possession, an unclassified misdemeanor possession, and that officer takes them straight to a navigator at the Taylor Center. That's the best practice by far. One of the realities we have is that a lot of folks commit crimes at 2 in the morning when the navigators are in bed and the Taylor Center is closed. So we have an after hours card as well, where an officer can give that to somebody in the field and say, hey, get to these folks, give them a call, you know, and we'll help them get to deflection. We also do really active outreach with those folks. So for example, Bend PD, Redmond PD, the county all pull all the arrest stats for me, tell me exactly which cases were related to PCSU and low-level misdemeanor type stuff that might be related. And then we'll outreach to those folks as well. We'll give them a call. If we're unable to contact them, one of the things we've been doing is sending navigators out to their arraignment to try to offer deflection, you know, at that first initial court appearance. We always coordinate that with the DA's office as well. That's one of the other pathways. The other one we're just experimenting about is the officer and the social referral pathways. And that's where somebody isn't You know, they haven't committed a crime because, for example, they already did all their drugs and they're out. It's a really frequent thing officers encounter in the field. And so, you know, some of those folks tell officers, hey, I want help. I want treatment. I want these things. And it's a great thing where they can voluntarily go in. I think it's a really great pathway that we're just starting to explore. You know, they shouldn't have to go buy fentanyl and come back and find a cop. They should be able to just go right in. So those are the major ones we're doing right now locally. We're definitely looking at different social pathways through places like potentially Mosaic and some of the other community partners who might have some clients who'd be really good, but we're doing that in a very measured way. We're doing it slowly, looking at, you know, hey, are these some tests where we can run and make sure this is really a good fit and that these are good candidates. So that's, I'd say, statewide an experiment right now. How do we get the right people into this program and not bring in the folks that are maybe really needing other levels of care or just aren't in the best interest for the clients or for the community to go in? Thank you.
Yeah, but Deputy Washington, that was fantastic. The overview, the success stories, reciprocity, challenges, and lessons learned. You covered a lot of territory very quickly.
Try to keep in my 5 minutes.
Oh, that was, no, that was great. And I just don't want to rush it too fast. I just want to see, to our navigators, is there anything you'd like to share about your experiences so far in the program? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if there's anything you'd like to.
I have 5 clients that I work with currently. Just being that I've lived experience, being a peer support specialist, it's more like on the ground, not necessarily holding their hand, but giving people hope and an opportunity to change their lives rather than see them go to jail over and over again, you know, just helping them. Okay, a lot of these people come in here hopeless and not understanding or knowing what to do, and being there and being like, look, I've been here, I've done that. Let me help you, and getting them the help they need, you know? So it's been a great opportunity for me personally. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
I have a question too here.
Yes.
So, I mean, like you just explained, there are so many successful stories there, but I see some of these people from other counties and states. I mean, do you do an assessment I mean, I know it's hard, you can't pick up somebody at midnight and do an assessment, but I'm thinking because it's almost like back-to-back crimes, right? So at what point do you make a decision this person will fit into the program?
Sure. So in the field, of course, the arresting officer has that discretion. They have the discretion to either take somebody in to the jail, they could cite them out with an after-hours card, or they could take them to the navigators if it's an hour that they work. Now, they are 365 days a year with a team of 4. They're open from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So they have pretty good hours, but I think the reality is if we make them work 24 hours a day, I think at some point we're going to deal with burnout and staffing issues. So it's a hard thing to balance looking at 24-hour manning for the program. The other concern is there's limited support. You know, I can't necessarily have a mat doctor on at 2 a.m. either. You know, so, you know, and the shelters have already generally stopped intakes that late at night. So there's some realities, I think, on what we can do. Now, we do have some ways to do second chance looks, like, so the folks that do come to jail, for example, they may be a little more sober, they may be a little in a better place that day. So we can talk to them, you know, and if they are a good fit, then we can get them in the program later. And so what we've done sometimes is have the case dismissed or have a conditional release in the case to give them a chance to engage in the program on kind of their terms once they're out of custody. And so that's definitely one of those safety net things that we're doing to try to keep this equitable, where maybe somebody was just too high at the time that they were contacted to get started, or it was the wrong hours, or they have other justice involvements too. You know, you notice probably some of the examples I gave, some of these folks are really justice involved, sometimes across multiple counties where we're dealing with multiple DA's offices, multiple defense attorneys, cases that are not deflectable and cases that are. So there's a lot of complexity. And, you know, when we get past that initial phase, it's usually a conversation between like myself and the deputy district attorney involved in the case, and often Mr. Gunnels as well. So, you know, we want to give that opportunity to anybody that reasonably would want it. We also sometimes get defense counsel involved in that conversation as well. It's like, hey, you know, is this something your client's interested in and willing to do? Do they want to do treatment, or do they want to go through the normal criminal justice process and, you know, then do this as a, you know, a probation issue later on? Did I answer your question? I know there were a lot of prongs to
I
that.
think you answered my question. I was just, because I saw a lot of jurisdictions and I saw like how, up to when do we say, you know, yeah, how do we make that decision? But
Yeah.
I understand also where you're coming from. You can't have a doctor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and of course, you know, when they get into the treatment side, then they have all the medical assessments. You know, we very much consider this a medical-based program. It's what do they need medically? So I never say what level of care they should have. That's their doctors and their treatment team who is going to be steering them either towards an outpatient, inpatient, detox level care. You know, those decisions are wholly with our contractors with Best Care and Ideal Option, who really have the medical expertise to make those decisions. Thank you.
I have a question about funding.
Yeah.
What's the fiscal outlook for the program? What are you seeing?
Well, we have a hearing with the Senate on Thursday, so I've submitted testimony for that, and I plan to be on the line to testify if there's time. I hear that hearing sometimes doesn't have time to hear verbal testimony. I think we're good as far as we're in the governor's budget. You know, the funding will probably be there. It may not be exactly what we had to roll out, but we're hopeful because of course, everything, you know, every dollar is an opportunity to help somebody ultimately. You know, so I'd love to see some additions to the program that I am hoping to bring in. Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to what the Ways and Means Committee decides can fit into the state budget. How much of that is prioritized towards CJC's programs versus other programs out there within the state.
Okay.
AOC asked me to testify on Thursday morning.
Oh, good.
So I'm
Great.
trying to-
I'm testifying Thursday morning, but for different reasons, but I'll be there too.
We'll see you all there. Good, thank you. And did you want to share your perspective, or you were going to jump in a moment ago, and I wanted to make sure you had the opportunity.
I was just gonna say, I'm fairly new. I do have one deflection client. I just took my first deflection client last week, so I'm still learning how to navigate the program.
She's doing
She's,
amazing. though.
yeah, she's
Great.
training me, so.
She's doing amazing.
We're so glad you're both here. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Any other comments or questions, or I want to put anybody on the spot? I know you're involved, but no other. No. Well, thank you. What a great discussion, and thank you again for the presentation. I found it incredibly informative. Really appreciate your being here. With that, let's move to agenda item number 6. And Trevor, we'll turn it over to you for the Justice Reinvestment Grant application for the 25 to 27 biennium. And then maybe you have all the next 3 items.
I do have.
Okay, great. And if we were short on time, which I don't think we are, we all know that Trevor has that ability to
I can talk really.
cover quickly. Topics quickly. But I think we're just fine, so take your time.
Can someone confirm online that you can see the presentation? Awesome, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Trevor Stevens. I'm the business manager for Community Justice, and we have a couple agenda items for you guys today. The first is it's time again for us to submit the Justice Reinvestment preliminary grant application. A couple years ago, they changed this process, and now they ask us to kind of break this grant up into different. They have a preliminary grant, then they have a supplementary grant, and then they have a competitive grant. So the preliminary grant, they ask us to submit without any budget. So we really don't know what the budget's going to be. We hope it'll be similar to last time, probably roughly over a 2-year period in that $1.6 to $1.8 million range. But we're not sure yet, and we probably won't actually have that number until July. So, and then that next round of submissions will happen in July, and that's where we can apply for competitive funding and supplemental funding. So the ask today for LIPSIC will be a letter of support and approval to submit the grant application for the 25-27 biennium. And this is just for the formula funding. So the formula grant was created out of House Bill 3194. And what it does is it provides funds to counties to address concerns over growing prison population and the need for additional prisons in Oregon. The big push when this first was announced was to curb the opening of the prison that was going to be built in Junction City. That is successfully, they've been able to kind of curve that and push that out way on down the road. So for now, the governor is still pushing forward with justice reinvestment and including that in her budget for the governor's requested budget. The goals of House Bill 3194 and justice reinvestment is prison bed reduction, reduction recidivism for drug, property, and some prison eligible driving offenses, and then a focus on public safety and holding clients accountable. Other components of this grant include, there's a 3% research component. Counties can retain that, but 3% is hard to hire researchers for, so that gets remitted back to the Criminal Justice Commission and they run the research from their office. Victim services, as you'll remember, we have 5 victim service agencies that we do a competitive process for here in Deschutes County, and 10% of the funds that we receive go to those agencies. Then there's the competitive grant and there's supplemental funding. We actually received both this last time around, and we definitely will apply. We're going to work with the district attorney's office and other community partners to apply for those when they get released and what that looks like. But today we're just focused on the formula piece, and then the other parts will be addressed in a second application process. So the Deschutes County JRP program has been in operation since 2016. The focus has been on downward departures, so those individuals that are receiving a probation sentence in lieu of a prison sentence, as well as short-term transitional leave, which is STTL, and the alternative to incarceration program, which is AIP. Those are early releases from prison, and the other one is in lieu of prison. So we've been using the funding to really sustain the FTE that run this program, and we work in close collaboration with the DA. The goals are really to safely, effectively supervise these individuals in our community, and also kind of address their community barriers and reduce barriers. We do a lot of housing supports, DMV, ID letters. We work with the Bethlehem Inn, we work with Pfeiffer, treatment providers, just to kind of provide those upfront supports to really focus on behavior change with these individuals. There's really a case management focus on skill building, and we have specific officers working with specific clients just to ensure that we're meeting all of their barriers and the reduction in some of those barriers that are preventing them from meeting their obligations with parole and probation. For the application, we had to kind of just review our prison utilization. Our prison utilization in Deschutes County is 57% of our baseline figure from that 2012-2015 number. So that was about 1,727 months, and you can see right now with the latest results, we're at about 57% of that. So we saw an increase post-pandemic, but it seems to have leveled out, and we're still well below the baseline. We're meeting the goals of JRI for this, and they're really kind of just trying to figure out any other terms of, if we see any increases, what kind of explains that for prison utilization. Recidivism, they ask us also to look at our recidivism rates since this program has been implemented. And so you can see there, our recidivism rates have kind of just remained fairly level, but we've seen no major increases, and that was the goal of justice reinvestment. With releasing the individuals from prison early and then putting individuals on probation, do we see any spikes? And we're just not seeing any spikes with that. So we see fluctuations, but they're minimal. We even see some lower recidivism rates. Deschutes County traditionally has always been a little bit higher than the state average, but we haven't seen any spikes in terms of our recidivism rates since the launch of this program. And otherwise, I include the application in the packet, but I'm available for questions. If anyone has any questions about the JRI application.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from anybody? And I'm looking online too, if we see any hands raised, but I don't see any yet. I'm not seeing any. So with that, I see you would like an approval for a letter, so we'll get to request a motion.
Yeah.
There is a draft letter in the packet I see, and this is it's just one paragraph, and it's from the Honorable Wells Ashby, the chair of our local public safety coordinating council. which is great. On behalf of the Deschutes County Local Public Safety Coordinating Council, I would like to convey our approval and support for the FY 25-27 Justice Reinvestment Grant application submitted by Deschutes County Community Justice. The grant is the efforts of partnerships between our stakeholders. We are excited to continue with our program that has helped us meet the goals of justice reinvestment. That's straight to the point, which is great. If there's a motion to approve the letter.
Make the motion to approve the letter.
Great, thank you. Sheriff Vanderkamp made the motion, and is there a Commissioner Chang seconded the motion? Thank you. So I'll just ask for all those in favor, if say aye, or I guess raise your hand, whichever, some way to acknowledge approval. Thank you. Any opposed? I should have asked for any discussion on the motion. I failed to do that. But, not seeing any opposed, the letter of support is approved unanimously. And so thank you, everyone. And with that, Trevor, I'll turn it back over to you and to discuss the Justice Reinvestment Victim Service Committee for the 25-27 biennium.
Thank you, Nick. And so the next piece of this that we need to do is we need to appoint a review committee for the Justice Reinvestment Victim Services Grants. The amount of money we receive for Deschutes County falls into the amount where we need to do some type of competitive bid process. And so we need basically 3 to 5 members to be a part of that process. 10% of the funds that we receive will go to victim service agencies in Deschutes County. Last biennium, we had Kid Center, Mary's Place, CASA, J Bar J, and In Our Backyard as our recipients. So basically, all we need today is we need 3 to 5 LIPSC members to be a part of the grant review committee. Community Justice will handle the process, but basically what that grant review committee will do is they will review the application before we send it out, and then they will actually review the applications. We'll run kind of that whole process for everyone, but basically we'll just need you to review the application and then review the applications that we actually receive, and then make a formal recommendation to LIPSC at the June LIPSC meeting in terms of who we want to put on our application for our victim service agencies. We're anticipating it'll probably be roughly $240,000, $250,000, maybe up to $280,000, but it just really depends on how much funding we actually receive. Because some of the funding, like the grant, the competitive and the supplemental, they all get that 10% applied. So until we have all of those grant numbers, but last time we received roughly, I think it's like $245,000. So we just need 3 to 5 LIPSC members to join that process. And I believe Donna has been a part of that process before, and I think Jay Gunnels has joined that process. So if anyone has questions, they may be able to answer. We try to make it as painless as possible in terms of what you have to review, but we'll definitely handle that from our side of things and just give you information that you need to make those decisions.
Great. Do we have 3 to 5 members who are willing to serve on the grant review committee?
I'm happy to serve on the grant review committee again.
Thank you, Donna.
Trevor, I'm happy to serve on the committee. Under Sheriff Wells, unless you have a question.
Thank you.
No, I'll serve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's room for a couple more. It sounds like anybody else would like to.
It wasn't the hugest.
Oh, great. 911 Director Sarah Crosswhite. And I'm sorry, were you asking?
Yeah, I'd be happy to serve.
So we have, great. 5 members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. And I will be in contact in the next couple of weeks just with an email about what that process will look like.
Thanks, Trevor. I know, and you've got one more item, and I know you're kind of juggling everything up there, so take your time. We have agenda item number 8, which is the juvenile crime prevention application for the 25-27 biennium. And this does say we have a motion to approve a letter of support. I'm not sure, I didn't see the.
That'll be for after the juvenile crime prevention, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So all this was pertaining to our juvenile justice community, our juvenile community justice division. And it's the funding that we receive. It's a biannual funding source. It comes in through the Oregon Department of Education. And it's there that it's not a grant because There's a formula allocation for juvenile departments, but we still have to submit an application in order to receive the funds. So they do ask that we have a LIPSC letter of support when we submit that. And so we included the full application in your packet. But juvenile crime prevention is basically one of the main funding sources outside of general fund that we receive for Deschutes County Juvenile. It's roughly around $225,000 for the biennium. And as a part of the LIPSC agenda, we attached the full application. I'm just going to highlight some details and then I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has regarding that. So for the 25-27 biennium, the funding will support moral recognition therapy, or MRT, for young men on supervision. And this is a cognitive behavioral therapy that really focuses on criminal thinking, kind of shifting attitudes, values, and beliefs, working with those youth and kind of increasing that intrinsic motivation to try to promote behavior change. The other aspect of the funding that we were asking for is for our restorative accountability program management. So we're working in partnership with Culture of Care, and we're establishing a restorative accountability program. So generally, this is like a structured process. It kind of brings together the individual who caused the harm. It brings together those who were harmed, as well as the community. And together they work together on just a different way to kind of solve harm that was caused by that individual. They really talk about impacts and kind of promote accountability and really kind of repairing that relationship. So it's kind of a pilot program that we have just started. And so the funding will support our staff to have to help manage that program. Those are the two main things that the funding for the 25-27 biennium will support. I'm happy to answer any questions about either of those things.
And Trevor, I was mistaken. It's on the back of it. I looked at the packet. It is in the packet. It's on the back page. And if folks don't have it available, so this is to, and I'm just confirming, it's to the Oregon Department of Education. And it's please, enclosed, please find a copy of the Deschutes County Juvenile Community Justice Juvenile Crime Prevention Plan for the period of July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2027. The Deschutes County Public Safety Coordinating Council reviewed and approved the plan at our April 1st, 2025 meeting. And then the second paragraph, the plan describes the use of the JCP funds to provide services for Deschutes County medium and high risk youth. The goal of the plan is what you discussed. The goal of the plan is to target youth with criminogenic,
Yes.
risk factors such as poor family functioning or poor family support, school failure, substance abuse or negative peer association, and are clearly demonstrating at-risk behaviors. Specifically, Deschutes County Juvenile Community Justice will be focusing on CBT services for youth, as well as restorative practice in partnership with our schools and community-based organizations. The council understands that there is some flexibility in regard to implementation of the plan over the next biennium. So I just wanted to read that. If you don't have it in front of you, so everybody knows what the motion is to approve a letter of support. And so if there's a motion to approve the letter, this letter of
I'll make the motion.
thank you, Chief Lewis. Great.
I think, yeah, I just want to say, I mean, the work that they do, the juvenile department here is just great. I mean, I couldn't even talk more. I mean, they do a great job. I work with OI Youth Authority, but the kind of work they do before these young men come to us, it is great. I mean, I couldn't think about anything else. I mean, about treatment. These kids they're getting a lot than just to hand them a hammer and just talk them out. This is just, I couldn't think about a better program than what they have right here. Really great.
And you just said that's
great.
Is this in addition to, is this different than the restorative justice grant through CJC? That
Yeah, it's
just came
completely
out?
different.
Totally
Yeah.
separate. Okay, so that's
we're-
additional.
That's a completely different funding source. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's completely separate from that. Yeah.
So it's Councilor Riley. I have a question. Trevor, you haven't brought this up, and I think if I'm understanding correct, these are all funds that are coming from the state. They're not dependent on any flow from the federal government, are they?
Not at this moment. These are technically Oregon Department of Education funds, so there is a slight chance JCP funds could be impacted. But when I was talking about the Justice Reinvestment Funds, those at this time should not be impacted. But there is, right now they're saying that they're not going to be impacted, but it does come to the Oregon Department of Education, which gets most of their funds from federal funding. So there's a slight chance which this program specifically could be impacted. But right now, what they are telling us is that they're hopeful that that's not the case.
Okay, so it's kind of the wait and see game. We're playing on all kinds of fronts.
Yes.
Okay.
The letter used the acronym CBT. Can you remind me?
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, and you made the second. I just want to make confirm.
I made it.
You seconded, and then you had great comments, as the other comments and questions have been as well. Any other comments or questions on the letter of support? Not here or online. I'm not seeing any. So with those, just please, those that support the letter of support, just vote, raise your hand, or aye, or online here. Great, thank you, and I see a head nodding as well. Thanks, Keith. Any opposed, or? I'm not seeing any. So with that, the vote is unanimous in support of the letter of support.
Thanks, everyone.
For the application. Trevor, thank you very much for all three agenda items. We would then move to item 9, which is the court update, and our chair is not here. Recognizing that. So let's go to the last item on the agenda, which are agency updates and any other business. So does anybody have any updates in the room? And I'll look online as well for any hands to be raised. Any other updates that people would like to share? I am not seeing any. Well, I guess that will conclude our meeting for today. Thank you, everybody, for being here, either in person or online. We'll talk about where the next meeting
I
is.
think the next one will be virtual.
It will be virtual.
Yeah, and then I think the plan is to do quarterly in person, but I think the next one should be virtual, but we'll send out an email update if that changes.
Great. Yeah, that sounds great. And so we'll look forward to seeing everybody online next month. And then in person again, the next quarterly meeting. Great to see everybody. Thanks. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.